It is right that we are here. It is good because, it actually ties in with what Reimer was talking about in his interview there that I posted in the group. We have a level, and the primary way that we can do that is by forming the relationships that get business done. Because if we can do that, then we're able to take care of our own needs, getting food that we need, getting the groceries, paying our rent, mortgage, whatever the case may be. And by doing so at the community level, there's no one that can you can't stop that. Once that kind of grassroots movement to be self-governing, once that takes flight, there's no stopping it. And so that is why it's so important that we're doing this, and why I'm so excited that you guys are here. And this is a great number to start with. This is a great number to start with. In every society, there are different types of people that help rebuild society. And the first of which, the ones that are the most important, are called the kings. And in this case here, a lot of queens. They're the masters of commerce. They're the ones that figure out how to be self-sustaining with their ideas, with their passion, with the thing that they've been brought into this world to bring to their community. I have a quote that I'd like to start things off with. At some point, when you create yourself to make it, you are going to have to either let that creation go and take a chance on being loved or hated for who you really are. Or you're going to have to kill who you really are and fall into your grave grasping onto a character that you never were. If you're doing something with your life that you don't enjoy doing, please stop. Now, I might be speaking to the choir, and that's fine. That's how significantly important it is that you're in this room, learning what you're about to learn. For the next 3 months, you're going to get my 13 years of marketing knowledge and expertise that I brought forward to help businesses turn cents into dollars when it comes to the efforts that they put forward to build something that solves people's problems with such fervency and authenticity that that money to them isn't an issue when it comes to those problems being solved, because they so greatly appreciate the passion that you put behind it. That is the ultimate form of, dare I say, capitalism you can possibly practice. Because you are simply taking something of value that you have, a way that you can solve a problem for someone else, and deliver it with that love and authenticity for another person to improve their life. What greater fulfillment could you possibly seek to live on this planet than to be there and add life to another person? It's beautiful. And we're going into a form of a monetary system that allows you to get paid even more than what a debt-based, supply and demand-based monetary system could possibly afford. That's power. That's power. So thank you, all of you, for being here. Today, we're going to get really, really clear on who your ideal client is, what they look like. And the reason why is because if we can get clear on who they are, we can get clear on how to speak to them, on how to construct those 4 C's and have it capture and connect and communicate to them effectively so that they feel natural in closing themselves. Remember, I talked about it in both of the workshops that we did in December. I talked about it where I said that if your words, if the way that you present what you do, your prospect or your potential customer could feel like you wrote a sentence out of their own journal, if they feel like you can get their world to that level, you don't just have a client, you have a friend. And that friend is inspired to help fill your fridge just because of how impactful that was for them. So in order to do that, we need to be able to really get clear on who they are. What kinds of things do they like? What kinds of habits do they have? How many kids do they have? Do they have kids? Maybe they're single. Maybe they're married. Maybe they're a homeowner. Maybe they're not. And I'm going to give you a quick little story about Paramount Pictures. In the early 80s, they were struggling. They were actually facing bankruptcy. And they didn't know what to do. Paramount, we know them now. They're a household name, essentially. Pretty much every other movie we watch is going to maybe have one of their logos on it, even on Netflix. But in the 80s, they just about went bankrupt because they didn't have the right direction. They had all these movies out, but nobody was buying from them. Nobody was even signing them on anymore because they just seemed to be kind of dead in the water. And someone came in and said, well, let's figure out who your target audience is. And they're like, well, people who have TVs. And the consultant that came on board said, hey, no. If you're trying to chase 25 rabbits, you're not going to catch one of them. So let's just get clear on one. And I get that. Maybe it is everybody that has a TV is your potential customer. But let's just get clear on one. So they took a look at the inventory that they had of the movies that they had currently had produced. And they evaluated that the number one demographic of people that would watch the movies that they had produced were stay-at-home moms with more than 2 kids. That's how clear they got on who their target market was. And as soon as they got that clear, then the consultant said, okay, now all of your marketing has to be speaking to the stay-at-home mom of 2 kids, 2 or more kids. And so they changed their marketing, and then they rebuilt their empire. Once you know who your best client is, what they look like, what they talk like, what they're thinking like, you're going to be able to meet them with a message that touches and moves and inspires them to want to do business with you. So, how do we do that? Everybody here, has anybody here got a customer before in their life? Yep. Where it's like, I landed a customer. All right. Out of all the customers that you landed, maybe it's just the one. Choose your favorite one that you've ever gotten to work with. Favorite, most amazing. It inspires you how awesome they are. Does everybody have one? You have two.
I have a few.
And she's got a few. Okay, great. Just pick one. We're just going to focus on one right now. Where the story is inspiring even to you, and you've been doing what you've been doing for quite some time. You've been passionate about what you've been doing for quite some time, and yet you're still inspired by that client story.